So this is me stitching the princess seam of the upper bodies. As you can see, I'm fixing the princess seam of the Ankara and the plain fabric together. So this is what the princess seam looks like. Hey guys, and welcome back to another tutorial today. So in this video, we're going to be making this lovely plain and Ankara gown. Is a tire gown. So if that's what you want to see, then keep watching this video to the very end. If you're new here, please do well to subscribe. If you're no subscriber, thank you for always coming back. Then let's head straight to the pattern drafting. So this is my basic bodies. I have a video also where I drafted the basic bodies. So I'm going ahead to contour my under bust, marking 1 inch from my bust apart measurement. And I'll be using my ruler to connect the 1 inch to the bust point and to my waistline like so. If you're watching closely, then you should understand what I'm saying. I'm going to have to connect it also, and from my mid armhole, I'm going to be marking out there and connecting this to the bust point for the princess seam. Your princess seam can start from your armhole. Princess seam can start from anywhere. Mid armhole, close to the armhole, close to the anywhere around your armhole. It can start from there. Okay, so it's not a must that it's from the mid armhole. Anywhere around from your armhole princess seams can start from there. So I've eliminated my side bust dart, and I'm going to be closing it up and opening it at my armhole to form the princess seam. Okay, so I'm using my tape to tape this down like so. I've done numerous videos where I have princess seams tutorial, so this is not the very first. You can also check in my other videos, then you also see princess seam tutorial, but this also is very much explanatory. So I'm trying to curve out this point to avoid any pointed edge, to avoid any pointed whatever, because we don't want that. So having done that, this is what we're having, and this is my plane and this is my pattern. Okay, so I haven't done that. We are going straight to the back. For the back, I'm going to be eliminating the back shoulder dart. Okay, and from my mid armhole also, I'm going ahead to mark, connecting it to my dart. Okay, it's connecting to my dart. Okay, so I haven't done that. I'm going ahead to open up. I'm opening up that very line that leads from the armhole dart to the bust point. Then I'm closing it up, opening it at my princess seam, at my armhole princess seam line for the back. I hope this is understandable. Yes, I just hope this is understandable. So having done that, now I'm going ahead to cut open from the dart, like eliminate the dart like so. So this is what we're having for our back armhole princess seam, my plain and my Ankara fabric pattern. Okay, so I haven't done that. We'll head straight to the lower bodice. This part is actually the very complicated area, but you listen very attentively and you will get it. This, what I'm marking now, is my bust apart measurement. Okay, I'm going ahead to connect it all the way down like so. I'm going to have to connect it all the way down like so. So for the dart, we are going to be eliminating the dart, but firstly I'll have to cut it open first. I'm going ahead to cut the dart open now like so. So having done that, I'm going to be drawing my style lines, my slash style lines. So I'm drawing these style lines very, like I'm making them to be tiny. I don't want it to be bold because I want this dress to be very full. I want it to be very full. So I'm drawing it in. As you can see, the side of it from this picture is more fuller. The front is actually is straight. I hope you understand. The front is actually straight. The center front of the front is straight, but the sides are like a train at the side. So I'm going to have to slash and spread those lines that I marked, and I've also eliminated this dart, okay, from the side. I also have videos where I eliminate darts, okay. So I haven't done that. Look at what the slash and spread looks like, okay. So that very dart area that I told you about, I'm going ahead now to fill it up, okay. I'm going to have to fill it up because I want to cut through from my bust apart measurement that we marked earlier on. So I'm going to be using a fresh pattern paper to fill up that dart. Remember, we eliminated it by the side, okay. Remember, we eliminated it by the side. If you're new to this channel and you haven't seen any of these videos, leave a comment in the comment section. I'll give you a link to see videos of how I eliminated that, okay. So having done that, I'm going to have to fill up that space, and I'm going to be cutting from the center, which is also my bust apart measurement, all the way to the down. I'm not going to be cutting out this center front. No, because we don't want to have any joining, any fabric to join at the front. I'm only just going to be slashing and spreading from the upper part. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to pleat that area that we eliminated. Okay, so concentrating on the center front, I'm going to be making sure that the center front is straight. That is what I mean by concentrating on it. I'm marking 3 inches. Don't worry, you see it very soon as we continue this tutorial. I'm marking 3 inches apart from that very part, and where the 3 inches stops, I'm taping the other part of my dart down, because I want to be forming a pleat, like a box pleat on the both sides of the dart, and let the center front remain straight. I hope this is understandable. I'll be showing you clearly. I didn't know that I wasn't really recording clearly as I was doing this, but I'll be showing you that very soon. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make that fold. Okay, I'm trying to make that fold. This is very easy. Yes, as you can see now, this is what I'm talking about, trying to make that fold. That's why I had to do that, okay? So I haven't done that. I'm going to have to slash this front very well. This is what it looks like. I added fullness to pleat everywhere, including those sides that look like a train that is very, that the flare is so much. I slashed and threaded it. So heading over to the back pattern, same thing. I'll also be extending my bust apart measurement all the way down. And with my ruler, I'll be connecting this like so. With my ruler, I'll go ahead to connect it, okay? Connect it all the way down. So I'll go ahead now to open up my dart. We are not eliminating the dart of the back, okay? I'm opening it up and I'm cutting from the lower part. As you can see, I'm cutting from the lower part up until where my dart stops. Then I'll close up the dart I'm going to close up this dart and opening it at this lower part, because that is where we need fullness. That's where we need much that's where we need much fullness, yes. So this is what I've done. And I'm going ahead also to slash and spread the rest of the pattern, because we need a very full flare. So I'm going ahead to slash and spread the rest of the pattern like so. If you've watched this video so far, leave a comment for me in the comment section. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much. If you're not a subscriber, thank you for always coming back. I really do appreciate you guys so much. So I'm slashing and spreading the front, the other part of the back like so. So this is what I've done. I'm going to have to slash and spread it. This is what I've done. So we're also going to be opening up, as you can see. I'm going to have to slash more for added fullness, okay, for the gather. I'm going to have to do more like we did to the front for the gather. So we head straight to the sewing. So same thing now for the sewing. I'm going to have to join my princess seam. Firstly, I want to make sure that my underbust align, because that is the most important part. So I have to make sure that my underbust align. I can now start sewing the rest of it, okay? So after making sure that my underbust align, then you can now start sewing the rest. That underbust is a very important area. So you now have to make sure that it aligns. Then you can now go ahead to start sewing up and down the rest of it, okay? So I haven't done that. I'll go ahead to sew also the other side of it like so. Same thing, making sure that my underbust align, and I'll go ahead to sew up and down. Make sure you're sewing regarding your allowance, the allowance that you left, okay? Make sure that you sew considering your allowance. You don't want to over sew, you don't want to under sew. You want to sew exactly on the allowance that you left, okay? So I haven't done that. This is what I'm having right now. As you can see, it's actually beautiful. I haven't even ironed it and it looks beautiful. I also interfaced it, please. So heading straight to the back. For the back, I just want to make sure that my bust point area for the back aligns. Or you can use your waistline for the back, okay? Your waistline or the bust point area for the back aligns. So I'm heading down to sew also like so. I also interfaced the back like so. So I haven't done that. I'm going ahead to sew the lining. This is the lining of the front. I also interfaced the lining of the front. I'm going ahead to turn up the lining of the front like so. Okay, like the way you turn up your lining. I'm going ahead to turn up the lining for the front, my neckline, just to give it a finished look, a neat finished look. So I haven't done that. I'm using my scissors to give small notches so it lays out more flatly, because it's a rounded edge. You want to do this so it lays out more nicely. And then I'll go ahead to top stitch at the lining part, not at the fabric or the main fabric, the lining. You're top stitching the lining at the lining area, you're top stitching at the lining area. So I haven't done that now. This is what it looks like. As you can see, I haven't even given this a press, and it's also looking very nice and neat, okay? So I haven't done that. I'm going ahead to sew up the sides. I'm going ahead to sew up the sides like so. And also, I'm also going ahead to sew up the other side. So I haven't done that now. This is what we are having. Very neat and nice. So I'll go ahead to sew up my side, like my side front and back together, shaping the front and the back together. That is basically what I'm doing now. I'm shaping the front and the back together. Okay. So there is one thing I'm going to be doing to the shoulder area to give it that very neat finish, and that's, well, you're going to be seeing that. Okay, it's also a plus for this tutorial, so you're going to be seeing that also. I'm going to be giving the shoulder area a very neat finish, and you're going to be seeing that also in this tutorial. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to make sure that the center of the front and the back shoulder aligns. So starting from the center, I'll go ahead to sew all the way down. I hope you understand what I did. All the way to the end of the shoulder of the lining, and also to the end of the shoulder of the fabric, front and back. Okay, front and back. So I haven't done that. This is what we are just having for the back and the front. As you can see, is neatly finished. Then heading straight to the lower bodies, I marked my notches. Like I told you, that pleated place for the dart, that is what I'm sewing now. I marked everything. So for the inner fabric, I did not gather the Ankara. I actually pleated it. Okay, I did not gather the Ankara, I pleated it, but you can choose to gather yours. It doesn't matter. Okay, just once your pattern is well drafted, then everything is going to be nice and good. Okay, so I'm going ahead now to pleat my Ankara fabric like so, because that is actually what I did. I pleated the Ankara fabric, making sure that the notches align with the pattern that I actually drafted, so that everything comes out very nice and good. This is what I was telling you, that the front is actually flat, like it's straight. Then those pleated something. Then for the red fabric that I put on top, I gathered it, okay? And it's also from the same pattern. The red fabric is also from the same pattern that I used for the Ankara, okay? The pattern that we drafted for the lower bodies is the same thing. Then you can determine your length, the length at which you want yours to be. Mine has an irregular hem, so you can decide on the length you want yours to be. So having done that, I'm going ahead to sew it up. We are stitching this red fabric same way that we stitched for the lower bodies of the Ankara. So it's the same thing, the same way you shaped for your lower bodies of your Ankara, that's the same way you're going to be shaping for the red fabric. Okay, so I'm going ahead to sew it all the way down like so. So I'm going ahead to sew it all the way down like so. So I haven't done that now. I'm going ahead, I'll show you what I did actually now. I'm going to show you what I did. So this is the fabric. I'll be running a loose stitch on it now. I'll be running a loose stitch on it now. So I haven't done that. I'll go ahead to gather this very loose stitch that I ran like so. I'll go ahead to gather this loose stitch that I ran on it like so. So I haven't done that, I haven't gathered it. I'm going to be placing it now on the Ankara. I'm placing it on top of the Ankara. But before I do that, I want to, as you can see, my lining is also the same color with the upper part of it. I added the lining so that I know it will give it more structure. As you can see, the way it's structured on my body, I added that lining so that the flare will stand well. Ankara is not really thick. So I added that very thick lining so it will stand, because I'm not using a hard net. That hard net itches on my body. So this is what I'm actually using. That lining so it will stand. But once your pattern is well drafted, it's going to stand very well only with the lining. You don't even need a hard net. So I haven't done that now. I'm going ahead to put that red fabric on top. I'm going to be leaving ½ inch from my side seam. I'm going to be sewing ½ inch away from my side seam, making sure that my gathers align, and also my zipper allowance, making sure that it aligns also. Okay. So I'm sewing all the way down like so. So this is what I told you about. Now we're going to be making sure that the side seams align. We are flipping over like we are sewing inside because this is going to be outside. So we're making sure that the side seam aligns, and then I'll go ahead to sew all the way down. From that very half-inch mark that we left, we're going to be sewing all the way down, because we're using the Ankara as our base for the shaping of this very particular part. So I'm going to have to sew all the way down, okay? I'm sewing all the way down, like so. And then when I flip over, I'll just top stitch it on top of that very particular place. The area where is open, I'm just going to be top stitching it, and that's all. That's the way to fix the tire. So I separate, so everything is different, okay? So I haven't done that now. We are now going to be joining the upper bodice to lower bodice, making sure that my center front align with the center front of the upper bodice and the center front of the lower bodice, making sure that it aligns, including the side seams of the upper and lower bodice. We are going to be sewing everything round. We're going to be sewing round, everything round, okay? Going to be sewing all the way round and making sure that those places align. You want to make sure they align because it's going to affect the fit of your garment, the fit of your dress actually. So you want to make sure that everything aligns, okay? So we are sewing all the way round. Also your zipper allowance area, make sure it aligns. So we're sewing all the way round. So I'm going to be covering that up now. And having done that, I'm done with that. So I'm going ahead to sew the sleeve. It's actually a basic sleeve, just a long sleeve, a basic sleeve. There's nothing going on in the sleeve. So I'm sewing the sleeve from my center sleeve, making sure that my center sleeve and my center armhole, my center shoulder align. Also making sure that back sleeve and front sleeve aligns bodies. And I'm going ahead to sew it like so. Also flipping over to the other side of it, I'm going ahead to complete the sewing of my sleeve. Like so. So I haven't done that. You want to flip this open, turn it over to the back. You want to turn over to the back and making sure that this sleeve is in accordance, like the center sleeve, everything is in line. You're trying to bring out everything to make sure that it's in line because it's also going to affect your feet. Make sure that everything is in shape. Then I'll go ahead to start sewing all the way. Make sure you mark your measurements, okay? I've already marked my measurements. So I'm sewing all the way to the armhole area like so. If you've seen this tutorial so far, I really appreciate you. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you in my very next video. Bye. Do have a lovely weekend.